Building complex financial models used to take days of manual linking and error checking, but today I'm going to show you how to build these 5 professional models in just minutes using AI. Most finance pros are still stuck in the old way of manual entry, but the game has changed, and if you don't adapt, you're going to get left behind. Many of you use Excel the traditional way, and I guess you are good at it, but you might be slow. Today, I'm showing you how to use AI tools directly in spreadsheets to improve your speed and accuracy. A full 3-statement model in Excel using Claude. Example of the gym project business plan in Genspark. Advanced forecasting model in Claude. Budgeting model in ChatGPT. And finally, a DCF valuation in Excel, also by Claude. Before we jump in, remember that the first step for all these models is uploading your raw data, financial statements, and assumptions into the AI tool. You might be wondering about data privacy, but don't worry. These platforms use enterprise-grade security to ensure your sensitive information stays private and protected. This means your data is not used to train public models, so you can build your forecasts with total peace of mind. Now, let's get started. Let's start with the foundation, the 3-statement model. Usually, linking the P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow is a manual nightmare. I'm using Claude in Excel for this. First, I input historical financial data into Excel to serve as a baseline for the model. These can be financial statements from the previous 2 years. Then, I create a very detailed prompt directly in Excel using the Claude in Excel add-in. In the prompt, I instruct it to build a fully integrated system. The key components I require through the prompt are cash flow statement specifications. I require the cash flow statement to be built using the direct method, as this is the typical approach for cash flow projections in this type of model. This allows me to ensure full accounting consistency and balance across the financial statements. Projection parameters. Here, I specify the number of projection years and define the types of assumptions the model should use, such as revenue growth rate, tax rate, expense to revenue ratio, and other key drivers. Scenario analysis. The idea is to create 3 distinct scenarios with toggle functionality directly within the Excel model. Critical accounting equations and checks. This is the most important part of the prompt because it ensures that the AI model understands accounting equality, which is essential for building an accurate financial model. When creating prompts for financial models, you should always require that fundamental accounting relationships are strictly respected. For example, assets should be equal with liabilities and equity. Current year net income must flow to retained earnings. Ending cash from cash flow statement should be equal with cash on balance sheet. When dividends are calculated, they must be deducted from retained earnings. Additional validation checks. We want to emphasize that revenue growth rates must be reasonable and consistent, and that all percentages and ratios must remain within logical ranges. Finally, we clearly specify the exact deliverables and outputs we expect. That would be our prompt. Before you look at the outcome of this prompt, keep in mind that you can download the full prompt for free. The link is available in the description below. Claude immediately created the sheet structure, including a model sheet, supporting schedules, and a dashboard serving as an executive summary. The first thing it built was an assumptions table. We also have the ability to switch between scenarios. So on the right-hand side, we can see all assumptions for each scenario, depending on which scenario is selected. Next, let's look at the schedules table. Claude created a capital expenditures and depreciation schedule, a debt schedule, and a working capital schedule. Each table contains the correct formulas for calculating values, which were generated automatically without any manual inputs. Now that we have the assumptions and schedules in place, Claude builds a fully integrated financial model. Let's take a look at how it comes together. First, we have a 5-year income statement projection. Next, Claude calculates the balance sheet projections across all relevant line items. Finally, Claude generates cash flow statement projections using the indirect method, as requested. A particularly valuable feature is the model validation check. As you can see, a check row is added at the end, allowing us to continuously verify that everything is fully reconciled and balanced. Finally, we have the dashboard sheet, which displays the key values and model outcomes with visuals. Next is the gym project evaluation. This is a deep dive business case. For this, I used Genspark. In this prompt, I am asking the AI to build a high-level 7-year project evaluation model. The goal is to move beyond a simple budget and create a tool that evaluates if a business is worth the investment. First, I defined the operational logic. I gave specific drivers. This includes gym area, membership tiers, and even churn rates. By setting a ramp-up period for the first 12 months, the model reflects a realistic business start where you don't hit 100% capacity on day one. Next, I demanded a complete financial engine. The AI must build 3 linked financial statements, but more importantly, it must calculate professional valuation metrics like NPV, IRR, and the payback period. I gave a very specific instruction here. Calculate these based strictly on free cash flow. This is crucial. It ignores financing distortions and shows the true cash-generating power of the gym facility itself. Finally, I focused on executive presentation. This AI model also has the option to create PowerPoint slides, so at the end, I asked it to package all the calculations into a slide deck ready for investors. Let's now take a look at what we got. On the left side, we can see an explanation of the process and what has been done. On the right side, we have the spreadsheets in Excel, where all the necessary calculations are available. First, we have the assumption sheet, followed by the revenue model by year, operating expenses, capital expenditures tables, financial statements, and valuation and metrics. At any moment, we can request adjustments to the model or corrections of any errors. This can be done either through the prompt or manually within the spreadsheet. Once we finish the Excel model, we can ask Genspark to create a complete PowerPoint presentation with a single, simple prompt. Here's what we get as a result. This is just one example. If you want to advance your skills in AI for finance, join our Corporate Finance Hub. You'll get access to exclusive lessons, prompts, and expert talks. Stay up to date, stay relevant, and level up your career. Check the link in the description below. Now, let's talk about advanced forecasting. Most people just use a straight line forecast, but that's rarely accurate. In this prompt, I demanded an advanced statistical forecasting model. I instructed the AI to analyze 24 months of history and apply the best mathematical fit for every line item. I required a mix of sophisticated techniques: linear regression for steady growth, seasonal decomposition for cyclical trends, and exponential smoothing for volatile expenses. I also included the percentage of revenue method for variable costs and moving averages for stable items. Finally, I insisted on a backtesting dashboard to measure accuracy using metrics like MAPE. This ensures the forecast isn't just a guess, it's a data-driven prediction. Here's what we get. For each line in the income statement, based on 24 months of historical data, Claude determines which method is most appropriate. We can see this in column B. In column D, we see which parameter was used, while the other columns show additional indicators and patterns. Once the key parameters and forecasting methods are determined, Claude proceeds to build the main forecast model. We can see the historical data first, then the forecasts, which are displayed in green cells, and finally, we have scenario analysis and standard deviation calculations. There are also several additional sheets, including a dedicated scenario and sensitivity analysis, accuracy validation, and a dashboard with visuals. As a reminder, all 5 prompts used for this video can be downloaded below. The link is in the description. Number 4 is the company budgeting model. This is for the FP&A pros who have to manage multiple departments. I used ChatGPT to build a multi-sheet workbook. The core of this prompt is total integration. I instructed the AI to create an assumptions sheet. Every other sheet, from sales to payroll, must pull its data from there. If you change the tax rate or the salary increase percentage on sheet 1, the entire model updates instantly. This is how you build a tool that is ready for a CFO review. I also focused on departmental granularity. I required separate inputs for sales, marketing, and IT, which then automatically roll up into a consolidated OPEX sheet. I was very strict about the math. Everything must be formula-driven, no hard-coded numbers allowed. My suggestion is that you try more complex cases that better reflect the nature of your own business. Finally, the prompt ensures the output is a professional-grade income statement. It calculates gross profit, EBITDA, and net income automatically. By including a cash and capex summary, it shows free cash flow. This is just an example of a simpler case created to demonstrate the potential. Now let's see the result. ChatGPT generates a download-ready Excel file here. Here is what we get when we open the Excel: assumption sheet, sales budget sheet, headcount, OPEX input, capital expenditures, consolidation, income statement, and cash summary. Here's what the fully integrated model looks like across the sheets. Everything is connected and linked with the appropriate formulas. You can also request to build a balance sheet or any other report that is part of your budget. Finally, we have the DCF valuation model. This is how you find the intrinsic value of a company. Since I've already shown how projections work with AI, here I'm simply building on that, using the projections I created in the first model from this video. This final prompt I started by defining a very precise weighted average cost of capital required to take fresh data from the Damodaran database or other relevant references for certain companies and industry. I also set some other important assumptions and requirements. Next, I defined the unlevered free cash flow logic. I provided the exact formulas for net operating income, after tax, and net working capital adjustments. This forces the AI to calculate the clean cash available to all investors. For the final value of the business, the terminal value, I required two different methods: perpetuity growth and the exit multiple. Using two methods is a professional best practice because it provides a sanity check on your final valuation. Finally, I asked for sensitivity tables. In valuation, the final number is always a range, never just one figure. By testing the WACC against growth rates and exit multiples, the AI creates a matrix that shows how the equity value changes under different market conditions. Here is what I got from these prompts. First, take a look at the WACC calculation, including the relevant sources and formulas. Next, we have the free cash flow projection, just as we requested. Then, Claude calculated the terminal value using both methods, perpetuity growth and exit multiple. And finally, we get the equity valuation. Of course, this still needs practice and refinement. We shouldn't expect Claude to be a magician and do everything perfectly for us. However, if we look back just a year ago, it would have been hard to imagine that something like this would be possible. The key lies in trying different tools, testing prompts, and continuously learning. These 5 models represent the bridge between traditional finance and the AI era. If you can master these prompts, you are on a good way to become a high-speed financial architect. If you want to download the exact text for all 5 of these prompts, check the link in the description. If you want to join a community of finance leaders doing this every day and get lessons and tutorials on a weekly basis, come find us at the Corporate Finance Hub. Stay up to date, stay relevant, and I'll see you in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.